Let's Talk Oculus, a VR podcast, is proudly sponsored by the good folks at Patreon. If you want to support the show, join us on patreon.com/Let's Talk Oculus. What's up, Oculus nerds? Welcome back to Let's Talk Oculus, episode 172. I'm your host, as always. I'm Dan, and I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Samson. Samson, how's it going? How's your week been?
It's going well, and I just realized 172 is a really easy one because I can just kind of leave the 2 up from the 7
on your hands.
And, yeah, on my hands, and the next one that'll do that is 183, and then 194, but it doesn't roll over after that.
No.
Anyway, I'm doing pretty good. Haven't gotten into that much VR, but I did get into a little, and I did roll credits, Dan, on It Takes Two.
Oh, nice. Okay, I thought you like a VR game and you can tick that off your resolutions or so. I guess. No, maybe not.
Not yet.
I'm glad you finally finished It Takes Two in record time, shall we say?
Yeah.
How many hours? Can you remember how many hours that final was?
I think it was about 30, probably, if I had to guesstimate. But I can check on the that app.
Whilst you're checking, I had a bit of a weird week. I actually strained my left bicep. I've had to go to the physio. I can't lift it properly without it hurting. So that also affects your VR, as you realize. It was in a kickboxing class. I don't know how it happened, to be honest. It was kind of like a weird twinge, and I felt something, and then I went to the physio, and it wasn't great. But it does affect it. Like when you're injured, it affects your VR. There's not much you can
definitely.
do. So I've been playing Epyka, which is the puzzle game, and we'll talk about that in part 3. But I tried to play a bunch of it. Sorry, what are you showing me? 20
it's
hours?
Good. It's 25.
It took you 25 hours to finish It Takes Two. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was a good time.
I'm glad you had a good time. I think I finished.
Listen, I asked a lot of people. Nobody finished it as fast as you. I feel like you rushed through it.
Maybe we rushed it.
Or you all are puzzle geniuses.
Yeah, we're just hardcore gamers over here. But yeah, so I've been trying to play seated, and I've actually not had the best time playing seated. But we'll talk about that. I'll talk about that in part 3, a bit more. Because I feel like games need to be made for seated, and this one definitely isn't. Or definitely doesn't have that. You can obviously play it seated, but there's issues to it. But we'll get into it. Okay. All right. Let's do some housekeeping before we get into this show. It's going to be a fun show, actually.
Housekeeping.
It's going to be a fun show because we're going to actually have. I mean, as you probably know from the title, we're going to create our own VR game each. We will both have one VR game each, and we're going to create one, and we'll give you. Yeah, that's 2. So that's two VR games. If there's any developers or anything like that listening, you can pay us to get this idea approved, and you can then develop it. Enjoy.
Take my idea for free.
Fair enough.
I will. I promise you, I will not otherwise develop it.
Fair enough. Okay, bit of quick housekeeping. Discord, the link's in below description. If you've not been on Discord before, it's like a forum kind of base in a way. If you use Slack at work or anything, Microsoft Teams, it's that kind of thing. But it's our community of LTO. You can join for free. Links just in the description for every podcast episode. Samson, you want to plug in the new little event that you've created in there?
Yeah, Dan. A few people have asked, oh no, what have happened to the Walkabout tournaments? And Dan, really, I started doing them to try to get, I'm all about community, Dan. And that's sort of what started with Walkabout, brought me together with a lot of friends during the pandemic. And that's what I'm trying to bring back with these, we got LTO Walkabout evenings coming back to Thursday nights, Eastern time, 7 p.m. We'll probably play for around 7 to 9. So if you can make it, come on down. If we got more than 8 people, we can make LTO room 2. Mm-hmm. That'd be pretty sweet one day. And come on down, hang out Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, we used to do this quite a lot, actually. Maybe a year or so ago, right?
Yeah. We did do it a bunch. Then and then we just started doing the tournaments, and things just sort of shifted. But come on down to the Discord to get the room code.
Yes, it's a special room code, one that Samsung's curated. But yeah, it'd be fun. Obviously, by the time most of you are listening to this, we've already had our first time doing it. For Patrons who are getting this episode early, you can obviously come on down tonight with that. And if you want to be a Patreon and you want to support us at the early tier, $5 a month at least, and then you can get the episode early on Thursdays. If not, that's absolutely fine. You'll get it free on Fridays, and it will always be ad-free as well.
Hey, Dan,
yeah,
let me give some dates. First one will be February 6th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Second one, February 13th, February 20th, February 27th, etc.
So every Thursday.
Etc. Yeah, I'm trying for every Thursday. Feel like I can commit to it, you know?
Yeah, I like how you've done like a little
If we
calendar.
got to pivot, we'll pivot.
You've done like a calendar in Discord, and you can put interested in. It's very professional.
Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
RSVP.
He knows what he's doing. There's also ability to send us comments, and we've had quite a lot of comments through with the show this month, well, actually we're in February now, aren't we? So let's just say this calendar year, we've got a lot of comments, which has been great. Keep it coming. You can send us comments through YouTube, like Noble Squashy has done, which we'll get into in a moment. Actually,
friend of the show.
First two comments have done, actually. Or you can go on Spotify. If you get your podcasts in there, you can comment in there. You can come on Discord, and there's a questions channel that you can obviously post questions in. And if you're old school, not like letter old school or pigeon old school, I'm talking email old school, you can email us at letstalkoculus@gmail.com. So we got 3 comments here, Samson. The first one, do you want to go for the first one?
I'd love to. Friend of the show, Noble Squashy, says, keep talking and nobody explodes is my favorite thing to show off. A little bit of VR to a large group of people.
Yeah, it's a great... I've never actually showed it off, but it's a great kind of... like in, what do you call it? What is it? Jackbox games, right? There's like one of those games is like the bomb defusal game, and each person in your like team, shall we say, has instructions, and they only have like a part of the instructions, shall we say. So it's kind of the similar thing where like one person's in VR trying to defuse the bomb, and it gets really complicated once you get further into it. But then 100%. The other person or the group or whoever has like the instructions to defuse the bomb. So it's a really fun one, but I've actually never done. Have you done it as in like a group of people before?
Never a group. No.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, next comment.
Not yet.
Not yet. Thanks, Noble Scotchy, for your comment. Moving on to the next one, which was also through YouTube, from Loopy Tunes 23. I like that name. He says, thanks, Samson, for the Toy Trains recommendation. It was really fun and an inexpensive way to spend my Saturday night. I loved the simplicity and the tight, smart controls that allowed me to knock out the main levels in a couple of hours. I can't wait to play the challenge levels this weekend. There you go, Samson. You're recommending great games for the audience.
Toy Trains, I mean, just as Loopy Tunes describes, it is a nice little relaxing puzzler, chill game. And it is exactly what you think it is. It's playing with toy trains and connecting tracks to get them to fit in the area.
And if you feel a bit embarrassed, like getting your own toy trains as an adult and putting it all around your house, you can just do it in VR and mixed reality. So you can just hide it away. Or you could just do what you want.
I don't know why you'd be embarrassed, though. The trains are cool.
Trains are cool. Thanks, Loopitunes, for your comment. And then the final one, it was from Spotify and actually blends into the topic of the show. So this is from Jonah. Actually, Samson, you read this one. I've read the last one.
I won't. Dan, Jonah says, I have an interesting question. If you guys could make any VR game, what would it be?
Yeah. So what I've thought of, we could split this in two kind of sides. Like, I don't know if he means do you want us to like create a VR game from scratch, or does he mean like, is there a current game out there, like a flat screen game that you would want in VR? So I was like, why don't we just answer it in both ways? And we'll have the main topic being obviously creating our VR game, which will be part two. But so part one, in this part one, we'll go through the smaller question first. What current flat game would you want in VR? And Samson, I'm just going to say it. I would love a Portal game in VR. Obviously, when the Steam Deck comes out, that's our only hope for something like that. I don't need like a full Portal 3 or anything like that, but I'd love like a little, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hour kind of experience with just like challenge levels. It doesn't have to have a proper story. It could be like the first game in a way, where you could just have those levels in VR. I would love to see that. Obviously, it needs to be optimized in VR because obviously some of those levels you couldn't really do in VR without getting very sick potentially. And
There's
such.
people who've done it.
Yeah, a lot of people have done it and mods and such. But yeah, if anything, if, Valve could do it with their VR headset, that's our only hope. But obviously, if that doesn't happen when they announce the Decade, then it may never happen. But yeah, that's what I would love. How about you?
Well, Dan, last year I got really hooked on this poker game called Balatro.
And you and millions of other people.
I don't know. Yes, facts. I don't know what it would look like to play Balatro in VR, but that's what I want.
Yeah, I don't know what it would look like either. Maybe you could have like a tabletop in mixed reality, and you could just do it on the table, potentially.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'd want like effects to come off of the Joker, so I'd kind of want Jokers to be like 3-dimensional or something.
Yeah. That could happen for sure. Hey, you never know. If they've done so well, you never know. Some studio might pick it up just to port a VR version, and that'd be cool.
I mean, I think the guy could afford it.
He can now. He can now. Perfect. Okay, there's our comments. Thanks for everyone who commented in the show. We also get other comments too, which just sing praises to our pod, and we really appreciate those as well. So just keep them.
Thank you. I think one was Bluebell, yeah.
Yeah, Bluebell put one into the YouTube, and yeah, there was a few YouTube comments this time just because we had Reson from Games with T and the Cross Button VR podcast last week, which was a big long 2-hour podcast, but it was a really fun one to make. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. Samson, let's get into the VR news for part one. This first one, a very interesting one. We finally got the Demeo and Dungeons and Dragons crossover. The game's going to be called Battlemarked, and they came out with a press release, and I'll read it out because then it kind of sets the scene. So they say, assemble your party and get ready to embark on an epic journey in the Dungeons and Dragons universe. Gather your friends for an unforgettable adventure that will blend classic D&D excitement and fast-paced tactical action. Built on the award-winning Demeo action role-playing system, Demeo and Dungeons & Dragons Battlemarked will make everyone from D&D newcomers to seasoned wizards and warriors feel like a hero. Samson, go with the second paragraph here.
Battlemarked is a DM-less system that focuses on social strategy rather than social roleplay, encouraging group table talk focused on tactics and decision-making. With cross-platform support for up to 4 players cooperatively, Battlemarked will feature 2 story-based campaigns at launch, with additional campaigns in different D&D settings planned as downloadable content in the future. It will be available on multiple platforms, including PC, consoles, and XR devices.
Very interesting.
Dan, at first, I was very confused. I thought it was an expansion of sorts to
That's what it sounded
and then
like.
I was like, oh, okay, no, it's its own thing that just uses. It looks like Demeo, basically.
Yeah, because Demeo is in the name, right? And also, when you read the second paragraph there, it sounds like very much it's just a Dungeons and Dragons skin on Demeo, but there might be much more than that. Okay, with the DM-less, meaning obviously no dungeon master and any of that kind of stuff. It's a little bit different. The key word here is encouraging, or key phrase here is encouraging group table talk focused on tactics and decision making, which is interesting.
So Demeo is more about like the action, right? Like there's no real story throughout, right? Like there's a story, but you're not talking to NPCs throughout each dungeon, right? Like
No,
there's the book, and that's
it's very light
story.
in the story. It kind of gives
Yeah.
you a theme more
Whereas
than
I feel
anything.
like this could be more linear,
Mm,
not as randomly generated type of deal. Like
agreed.
have quests type of deal, perhaps, or like things you'll run into and have to interact with that might change from time to time, but not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm wondering how long they would be. If it's going to be linear, having two story-based campaigns might be quite light. If they were just 3 hours, it might be like both these campaigns are like 6 hours long. You
Did they
know,
give us? They didn't give us a time.
no,
Did
no,
they?
no. They've given us nothing. They're not even showing us
No.
a gameplay or anything. It's just they've just announced kind of the art for it and or the hero art, shall we say?
Honestly, I mean, I just want ones of different lengths. Really, I want to be able to be like, hey, I want to play this game, but I only have an hour. But I also want to be like, hey, I want to play this game, but let's kill a friggin' day.
Yeah, well, it might be the fact that like it is 6-7 hours per campaign. Because obviously, like I've never played Dungeons and Dragons in my life, but like they go on for a long time,
Yeah,
and
usually like you'd pause it or you'd
right.
save it and then
So it
you'd
might just
progress.
be
You're
like
right.
that,
Yeah.
because that will play with the fan base big time. Like that will suit them because
Right.
that's what they're used to. So it sounds like if it's going to be two story based campaigns, it seems like it would be linear, like you're saying. But
I'm
Gem
in.
just
I'm in though.
has,
I'm interested.
yeah. I'm interested too. I'm more interested as like from afar, just looking at
Well,
what's
Dan,
happening.
you can play flat, man.
Yeah, you can.
You can play PlayStation 5 probably flat.
I mean, I'd rather still play in VR. I think the mixed reality when it comes to Demeo is fun.
True. But
Fun. Yeah.
your partner could join you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I have two quests now, so
But they might not want to play in VR.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, it looks very interesting. Let us know in the comments if you are interested and why you're interested in this game. Bit of bad news to go over in January as well. I haven't covered news for a while, just because of the topics we've had and obviously with the last week's episode. But Fast Travel Games unfortunately laid off 60% of their staff, which is 30 employees. I didn't write the statement in the script. I'm not going to lie, but I remember it said something like the games that they put out last year just didn't perform well in general, or didn't perform as
Would
well
you
as
like
they
me to read
hoped.
it?
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
I feel like that is the gist of it in a
Yeah,
way.
it is pretty much just.
It's very sad because obviously sales numbers are sales numbers. There's not much they could have done potentially in that respect, but when you see, I mean, we've talked about it in our like a couple episodes ago. We went through like things that Horizon OS needs to improve. I feel like the store being better, where you could find like more games, like and maybe promote more like well published games, like the games that Fast Travel Games puts out, could have maybe, I don't know if it will prevent this, but could definitely improve the sales numbers. I would feel it just a little bit,
I feel
surely.
like two of them. I feel like I've seen Mannequin a lot and Action Hero pushed. I do not feel like I feel that way about Black Forge, The Smithing Adventure, Band Space. I do feel like I've seen Project Demigod in the store a bit and in sales, but not really prominently ever.
No, that's true. I mean, I obviously spoke about Action Hero quite a bit, but yeah, and I don't know how the PSVR 2 port did for Into the Radius, but you're right. Like most of those games just kind of just went under the radar
Yeah,
itself. So
none of them really took off, unfortunately.
the CMO, I actually don't know what CMO stands for, but Andreas did say that the sales on the PSVR 2 has exceeded our expectations so far for Into the Radius. So there you go. So that was fine. It just seems like the other games didn't do as well, unfortunately. Action Hero
Chief
is such a
Marketing
great,
Officer.
yeah. There you go. Action Hero is such a great game, but it's just one of those that it's in the end of the day, you're putting out so many of these games, and some of them are just not going to do well. And plus, they don't. These VR games aren't expensive. They're not expensive at all. But yeah, it's a shame. But it seems to be the way the industry is recently over the last couple of years. Going
Yep.
over to a game that did do very well, and probably because the amount of push that Meta put towards it, because it is one of their own. Batman Arkham Shadow reached at least 1 million players. That was just kind of derived by the first achievement, the achievement that comes in but then disappears. It says that over 1 million people have unlocked it. Which means at least 1 million players, which is mental. And they've also been busy. They've been putting out a bunch of updates. So I just kind of collated them into one, but they've put out 3 classic Arkham-inspired Predator challenge maps, one called Quiet Waters, Natural Selection, and Silent Night. So if you're into those from like the Arkham Origins days and such, then you probably know what they are. They added an extreme difficulty option, and if that's not difficult enough, they added an I am the Night mode, which you just complete without dying. They've got a new game plus mode in there. The I am the Night mode, it kind of uses new game plus, so it kind of works like a roguelike in a way, where like when you die, you still keep all of the stuff that you had, but
I see.
Yeah, so it's not built like that, but you can. And then there's a new post-credit scene, which I haven't watched because I still haven't finished it, so I don't want to watch that. But there's a new post-credit scene, which apparently though is very good. It's a really good scene to kind of tie it all together. So that's come out, and they keep going. I haven't put this in the script, but they keep saying that okay, in the next month we're going to come out with this, and the next month they keep pumping it out, and it's amazing to see, and obviously maybe feels quite easy for them when they have 1 million plus players, and they're like, this content's going to be used.
You know what that means?
What does that mean?
There's at least 1 million Quest 3 and or Quest 3S's.
Yeah, at least quite easily.
The lowest.
Too. Yeah, I think the 3S was like not the 3S, the app for the Horizon was like the most downloaded app in December and such, and it was on the top of the charts, right, and such like that. Yeah, I don't think with my arm currently, I don't think I can play Batman for a while anyway, even if I wanted to.
No cape for you.
No, I don't think I'm getting far if I'm just punching with one hand. To be honest, not with those fights. They get intense. They get intense. All right, Samson, that will do for our shorter part 1 as normal. Like normally we go for an hour, but our part 2 is going to be a fun one. So in part 2, we're going to go into making our VR game. So we will see you then.
Hey, we know public lobbies in VR games can be a bit toxic, feel a bit empty at times. That's why we created the Let's Talk Oculus Discord, a friendly community that you can join for multiplayer meetups, general VR chat, the game, and chat about VR, fitness motivation, and there's even a very impressive 3D printing channel. Join over 100 of our community members in the Let's Talk Oculus Discord for free. The link is right in the description.
All right, welcome back to part 2, where, it's LTO 172, but where we'll be creating our own VR game in this part. Now, I'm just going to lay out the foundations of what this is at the moment before Samson goes in. So what I did is we kind of wrote down the main things what we would want to see. So we've got the name, the title, okay, what genre it would be, a basic outline, which is more just like you explaining what the hell this game is going to be. Game mechanics, if there's any like specific ones to mention. Same with control scheme, if there's any like specifics to mention. There's also anything else if I've not put anything on there. And then the fun part is a store page readout as well, because as you know, on the show, at the end of the show, normally when there's games out this week, we will read out the store page description in the Quest store. So we thought we'd make our own as well. So Samson and I have been hard at work creating this beautiful games that we've come up with. And Samson, I haven't read yours. I haven't put mine in the script, so you have no idea what mine is as well. So let's get into it. I'll let you go. So you can. The floor is yours. You can present your thing.
Okay. Well, allow me to take the floor. Thank you. Nice setting. I'm ready to begin. The name of my game, Dan, is Reason and Revolution. The genre, it is a co-op action-adventure platformer. Think in the vein of It Takes Two.
Oh, nice.
Because the basic outline, Dan, here is Reason and Revolution is a co-op action-adventure platformer. The game is designed exclusively for 2 players, requiring teamwork to solve puzzles, platform through levels, and navigate a story about some of the philosophical challenges of life. The game mechanics. Game's designed for 2 players, no single-player option. Players must coordinate actions to progress, solve puzzles, and defeat enemies. Most of the game takes place in third person, but there will be first person as well.
Little blend.
Little blend.
Okay.
Now, the control scheme, this is just controllers. There's no hand tracking. And this is purely in VR. I'm going to throw that in here, too.
Yeah, no mixed reality or anything like that. Yeah, I get it. Why no mixed reality?
I just don't think it suits here.
I'm questioning you on your pitch here. We'll get to questions
because unless you're in the same room, then I don't think it would really work. It would be hard to implement in a co-op game. And I don't want to necessarily require you to be in the same room as a person while playing this game.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. If you co-op only, you said, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that's about it. I mean, I don't really have like more details because
I'll ask you some questions.
Yeah. You got questions?
I'll ask you some questions.
Or do you want me to do my story readout first?
Maybe we do the story readout at the end after we go through questions. So some questions here. Well, first question, you said navigate a story about some of the I can't say that word. Challenges of life.
Yeah.
What would you say? Well, what kind of challenges are you talking about here? Is this?
Well, for instance, like the meaning of life, Dan.
Okay, but we're going that deep.
Yeah. You know, this is the philosophical challenges of life. You know.
Yeah. Free
will.
I see.
You know?
This is biblical.
But it's not biblical. It's just philosophical.
Philosophical.
The nature of morality. You know? These types of things. And think each one is sort of a different world. Really, I just adapted It Takes Two with a philosophical lens. And it's in VR. And it uses VR mechanics, Dan, right? Because you're gonna be climbing, you'll be shooting, driving, swimming. So all the different various things you're gonna be doing in VR, kayaking perhaps.
Oh, okay.
You know,
I see. To be honest, like It Takes Two VR version would be fantastic, right? In terms of how they did all the different types of mechanics, and each kind of world had its own specific mechanic, and you can do that in VR for sure. And
imagine one person's like got to go first person mode to do something, and then the other person's seeing them, but in third, like third or something, like, you know.
I get it. Why is it called Reason and Revolution?
Well, just because it's really, you'll get it in the story readout.
Okay.
And when I get to that, you'll probably understand the title.
Maybe we should just get straight into the story readout, because I feel like a lot of the questions will be answered in the story readout. So go for it.
We'll see. Embody Kant or Hegel as you set out on the adventure of a lifetime. How will you choose to see the problems ahead? Will you stick with reason with Kant, or embrace getting lost with Hegel? Work together to help one another overcome the scary, evil, skeptic King David Hume and the nihilist swarm of Nietzsche's. You'll need to master climbing, shooting, driving, swimming, and sneaking in order to save humanity. While Kant is inclined to trust his rationality and strict principles to guide the solutions, Hegel embraces the challenges as necessary for their growth and ultimate success. Collect collectibles, score scores, achieve achievements like never before with a friend.
I like it. Wait,
in Reason and Revolution.
So I love the story readout. It's a great story readout. It beats my readout. Like I can't beat that. That's fantastic. Where do the names come from? Canton Hegel
Uh, Kant and Hegel.
or Canton Hegel rather?
Yeah. Well, Dan, these are German philosophers.
I see. I see. Okay, and then the nihilist swarm of night bees.
Niche bees.
Oh, my apologies. My apologies. You got to say it right.
Yeah. As it's a play on Nietzsche.
Yes,
But they're bees, niche bees.
I get it. I like the fact that these two characters here have like their own kind of maybe not agendas, but you know they're very different in terms.
Yeah,
of their
they
beliefs.
attack problems very differently.
Yeah, their values are very, very different and such. So I guess you could play this game twice. One person is one, the other one is the other, and then you switch if you wanted to play this again. So there's replayability in this game as well. I didn't write this down, Samson, but what would you price this game at?
Oof. Dan, you know what I always like with the co-op game?
Yep.
I think I priced this at... Dan, I haven't thought this through that much, but I think I like to price it at about $25. But if you buy two for $40.
Oh, okay. I actually thought you were gonna say $40 for one, but then the other person can join for free.
That's a pretty good deal too, Dan.
Like a guest pass kind of thing, in a way.
You know what? I might bring that up with the team. We might work on that. We'll see what we can do. We haven't quite released yet.
What's the I'm just gonna throw out some questions here. Canton Hegel.
Okay, I'm not sure if I can answer them.
I know, but you're just gonna have to think on your feet here. What's the art style look like? Like I'm trying to envision this.
Yeah. It depends what the headsets are at, whatever they can handle, Dan.
Let's say Quest 3. Let's say it's
this has got to be.
We've got to say current hardware. Quest hardware. 3. It has to be Quest 3 since we're a Quest podcast.
Yeah. I think you got to go low poly, but stylized, you know?
Like
in the walkabout way.
Kind
just
of style?
So you can get more sort of, you get more out there, but also, but have your own style. And not the walkabout style necessarily,
but I see what you mean, like in that kind of vein a little bit, just
lower poly,
lower poly, but still looks charming, and you can make some nice worlds and such.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love it. So when will this come out?
When?
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. Whoever takes the idea, run with it.
I like the idea. Would you consider a single player version at all, or do you think this should be strictly co-op because it's just how it should work?
Yeah, it's just co-op. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a good, like, with what you're saying though. I know you obviously this is heavily inspired by the game that you just finished, but we don't have anything like this. I mean, to be fair, there's very limited on flat screen consoles too. To be honest, there's some out there, but nothing comes close to what It Takes Two has done. And plus, their new game comes out in a month's time as well, which is what's it called? Split Faction or something like that.
Oh, really?
They announced it during the Game Awards in December. What's it called? Split Faction or Split Fiction? Hold on, I'm gonna get it here before we move on. Split Fiction, I think it is. Yeah, it is called Split Fiction. So basically, the whole idea of this, just little side tangent here. Basically, there's two women, and they have like different visions into like that. I think they're like either game designers or like artists or something like that. But they have two different visions, and somehow it all just gets blended into one. So you have to go through their art for both people. One person really likes, as far as I remember, like nature and those kind of like life kind of things, and the other one's more into sci-fi. So the levels are very different between the two. And yeah, it comes out March 6th. So
is it co-op?
Yep. Yeah, exactly the same. Multiplayer only. So another perfect.
Oh boy, my girlfriend's gonna be excited.
Yeah, March 6th. Check it out, March 6th. Sounds very good. I like the idea of the game itself. The names. I think the store page readout was the highlight of what.
It's
you
what I
did.
spent the most time on.
Yeah,
I'm glad that came across.
it did. It did. Okay, let's go into my game. So my game is called Outlaws. Outlaws.
That was the Western sound I could do.
Hey,
I don't know.
the name worked because it's you know exactly what genre it is. So it's a Western action shooter, you could say, but it's not really a shooter. It's more of an action game. Just has some shooting in there. So basic outline. I'm gonna have to go through some detail here because I spent a lot of time on the basic outline, which is not basic. So imagine this.
So your basic outline is sort of like my story, Joe.
Yeah. We've gone the opposite way. So you're part of a gang. You're robbing banks. You're stealing, theft, all that good stuff, right? You're single player or up to 4-player co-op if you want to. So the main idea here is that there's basically 12 banks across the state, and maybe at future DLCs we'll add more banks depending on how it does well. Some are
It'll do well.
And not all these banks are different. Like some are small, like corner banks, you know, in your little small towns. Some are like mid-level banks, you know, which are in maybe bigger towns. And then you've got the major banks, like the big, like New York City kind of bank in there. So you, along with your buddies, have to go in and rob them. But it's up to you on how you do it. So, for example, a small bank might have just a handful of staff. The police might, or the sheriff, shall we say, might take its sweet time from getting there because, you know, it's such a small bank. The security will be low. So maybe you can just hop in, threaten a couple people, and, you know, get the money. That the bank vault is very easy to unlock, and then you get the money and get out. Easy. Practice.
In and out. Boom, boom.
Or,
lemon squeezy.
Exactly. Or major bank could have like high level security. You have to like take hostages. Maybe you have to deal with the sheriffs and deal with like negotiations. It might have like state of the art security. So you might have to duck and weave through lasers and get through various like escape room like puzzles to get the cash. Okay, so like to get into the vault, you need to solve some puzzles, and it gets harder with the major banks. And like I said, there might be lasers and such. So each bank is unique. So before heading to it, you can use the map to place each for your team in different spots and kind of plan out. So you'll get a map of the bank, and you know each team member could be slightly different in terms of their roles. So when you're solo, when you're just playing single player, you will always be the lead. But when you're playing co-op, each person will have like a specific role with a certain set of skills. So, for example, one could be in charge of the bank vault, so only they can complete the puzzle to open it. Or like they might have like, I'm thinking like maybe there's like trait cards that you can apply to people, but you can only apply one to each person. And maybe the person that I'm going to like to go, okay, Samson, you're going to be the one who's doing the bank vault. I'm going to apply the hacker trait on you. So that means that allows you to open up the vault quicker. Maybe the puzzle's slightly easier than if I went to do it. It would take me longer.
That makes sense.
In solo, because obviously you're kind of on your own. You'll be the one doing everything, but there's still going to be 4 people. The other 3 are just NPCs. Like they're just your allies in a way, just NPCs that are just there for backup. They can shoot. They could hog tie hostages, but that's about it. Okay, they can't really do anything else. So that's your kind of basic outline of how the game works.
That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah. And
I see why you want to hold on to it.
I do want to hold on to this one. Game mechanics. So obviously there's stuff like there's some shooting involved. There's not going to be a wide variety of guns. Maybe there will be in future updates, but you know, the revolver and such. We're in the Western in the end of the day. You've got lasso, obviously, to tie people up. You can wear various like masks or bandanas, shall we say. There's also dialogue options for the like sheriff negotiations or the police negotiations. I keep saying notifications for some reason. Negotiations. So for example, when you're in like a big bank and you got hostages, you have to pick up the phone and the police will say something, and you have like an option 1 or 2. Keep it simple, but basically if you choose the wrong option, then it might ruin your negotiation chances and such like that. A control scheme, you got to use those controllers. Has to be VR. But in a future update, you could potentially do the planning in mixed reality, where you have the map on your table and you can place where people are. But that might just work in single player. So that's the game, Outlaws. Before the store page readout. Any questions, Samson, so far before we get into the store page readout?
Well, Dan, first of all, I love the idea. It sounds great. You've got a great elevator pitch here, and I love it. I have a DLC for you. Future banks, outer space banks.
Exactly.
Famous bank robberies. You got it.
Exactly.
And but Dan, my question is, how many different ways are there to rob a bank?
I think there's multiple ways. So like you can go in.
Definitely multiple. But
you could go in. Well, you could go in guns blazing. You could go in with hostages. You can go in with, just maybe like doing some, maybe bribing the store manager potentially, like that before you get in. So there's a few ways. So there's replayability here.
Is there like planning beforehand? Like in Phasmophobia, you can kind of buy things before you go into your ghost hunt that you're going to use them. Okay.
So that's what I'm planning in terms of like you can apply traits to people, but you can also plan in terms of once you do this more and more, you can do certain weapons, or you can be like, okay, I'm going in a big vault and I really need a specific item, for example. If you don't bring that item into the mission, then you're going to have a very tough time to get as much cash as you can. And then you'll get like at the end of the run, whether you live or die or, escape basically, you'll get like a star rating. And so you'd want to keep going in and out.
Okay. Yeah. I got your replayability.
Exactly. Replayability. That's Outlaws right there.
Not Star Wars Outlaws, just Outlaws.
No, not that one.
And I like that neither of us have VR in the title.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I actually typed in Outlaws VR and there wasn't a game, to be honest. There wasn't one. So that name's available.
I prefer more like VR Outlaws because it sounds like we are outlaws.
VR Outlaws. Oh, I like that. I'll bring that up to my team. I'll bring that up to my team for sure. I like that a lot. That's very clever.
Yeah, thanks. It has to do with the words. So.
Maybe we should work together for these games. It seems like we've got some ideas. Okay, should I go for my store page readout?
Yeah, do you want me to read it for you?
Yeah, go on then. You're good at this, so go on then. Read out the store page readout for me.
It's 1906. Law enforcement is at its strongest, and the cowboys are phasing out. There's only one way to survive in this world, and that's to loot, steal, and rob the good folks of Crawley Town. There are 12 banks. They're just sitting there, waiting to be robbed. You and your crew of 4 will plan out your theft and rob as many banks as possible. But be careful, each bank has a different security level. Some will require masterful tactics. Some will require brute force and a whole lot of ammunition. Pew pew, pew pew. Play solo as the leader of the team. You're the brains and the decision maker of the operation. Your crew only know how to unleash hell on the sheriff department. And the hogtie hostages. Oh, I butchered it for you.
You did well.
Or team up with your crew of up to 4 players co-op. Each gunslinger will have traits suited to certain jobs. Choose those traits carefully whilst planning out your heists, or risk losing it all at the sheriff's department. Are you ready to earn a living? The Western way. Outlaws.
You're great at these these store page readouts.
I think I watched too many ads as a kid.
Yeah, probably. Well, there we go, Samson. There's our couple games right there. So we have Outlaws and we have Reason and Revolution. Both featuring a lot of co-op. Obviously, like I see that we both know that co-op or just some multiplayer is an essential. Well, not essential, but does really make.
It is funny. Game. I did pick a single player for my flat game, but go ahead and make Balatro VR multiplayer.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Make it more sociable, for sure.
Precisely.
Okay, perfect. Well, that was a good fun. And then we'll obviously put the jury out to the the listeners and the watchers on YouTube as well. Let us know what you think about our 2 game ideas. Do you have any questions for us? Is there any questions? Like, is there any things that we haven't explained in our
Are there
games?
any game ideas out there you have out there that you
Yeah.
are willing to share with the public and don't mind if somebody steals?
Yeah. Is there any developers out there who like these ideas and want to bring us on to their development team for a salary, and we will help develop? We could be the producers of the game. Producers of the game.
Dan, I think producers have to know other people.
That's fair. Yeah, but we bring in the idea, and that's all we need. Bringing the idea, that's all we need. Is there any investors
we
out
could be
there?
We could be community managers. We have a community.
Yeah, for our own games. Very good. All right, that'll do for part 2. In part 3, we're going to get into what we've been playing and any games out this week, if there are any. So we'll see you then. Let's Talk Oculus is available on all good podcast platforms and some rubbish ones as well. If you want to see the video version, it's available on YouTube and Spotify. And also, if you love us so much, then consider throwing us $1 at patreon.com/Let's Talk Oculus. Back to the show. All right, welcome back to part 3, where we're going to go into what we've been playing in games out this week. Samson, you want to start off with one of the games that you played this week?
I'd love to start off. I played a little bit of the game Living Room, which sells for $19.99, though I think I picked this one up in one of the sales recently. And let me read the store.
Yeah, because I have no idea
a little bit of it. Experience nature like never before with Living Room, the mixed reality game that transforms your home into an enchanting ecosystem. Create lush islands on your furniture, populated by adorable animals that live, breed, and evolve around you. Dan, I haven't played much of this. It's okay. I played for about 45 minutes until I needed to expand. I was basically playing on my dining room table, and then it wanted me to create a second island, but it had automatically made this chair that's covered in junk my playing surface, so I didn't have space to play there, and then I was just like pressured for time. I was like, all right, I'll just play this another time.
Fair enough.
But it does have let me describe it a little bit, I guess. It has a pet feature. So essentially you create land and water on your terraformed land, and then you put animals there. You can pick from different ecosystems. I went with jungle. I put gorillas down, and then I had jaguars and palm trees. And so you got to put a couple gorillas down so that they can breed, Dan, because you need to build your civilization.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And then they need to eat and drink water, so you got to put them near the water. And then one of these animals that you particularly like, or maybe that you don't like, you can take home with you and make your pet. And you, boom, throw it right in your room, and it becomes not the life-size gorilla, because that'd be too big, but it becomes a pet-sized gorilla.
Right.
And you can pet your gorilla or your whatever your animal is. You can pet, play fetch. It can dig things up for you to find unlockables or money, things like this, to buy things in the store. And you just slowly expand these ecosystems with various plants, animals. Breeding, like I said, is involved. There's even like a breeding island that you can get like more descendants of some sorts. I don't know. Reminded me kind of Pokemon. It's pretty chill, Dan. It's pretty chill and graphically not pushing anything,
Then,
You're not writing home from camp like, oh my God, you got to check out these graphics.
Yeah.
But they get the job done, and it's definitely got a style. It's got books that you interact with to, find. So you take out a book and you're like, all right, I'm going to jungle page or the desert page. You put the book back. Then another book has some other ecosystems, etc. And it's pretty chill. It's probably too much reading and like controller usage to use with my girlfriend's daughter, who's like 5. But for a kid who's a bit older, maybe perfect if they enjoy a chill game. Definitely not for everybody. And $20 is I haven't played the whole thing, so I'm not going to judge it on the price yet. But I'm glad I bought it at the sale price.
It's got very good reviews. Like,
Yeah,
a lot of good reviews.
I think for a kid, great.
Mm.
Or adult looking for a chill experience, but don't go into this looking for action. Like, this is like, it feels like you're just breeding these animals in different ecosystems around your living room. Dan, that's what you're doing. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Does it teach
But
you
it is
anything?
just that.
Like, does it teach you anything about the animals in terms of how they breed and such, or how they live?
No, I haven't learned anything.
Yeah, fair enough. I thought, like, because
You do have to keep them like they do. It's kind of like a Tamagotchi. You got to keep them alive, right? You'd be kind of attentive to them. They might need more water, so you can pick them up and move them.
Yeah,
things like this.
So you can build multiple like ecosystems in your living room. Essentially, you're not confined to just one where it has like a bunch of penguins or anything on.
Well, I put a penguin in the jungle.
Okay. I know,
just to see if it could.
I see why you're not learning anything. I don't know if that's going to work. Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, they all died.
Is there like, do you have plants as well, or is it just animals?
There's plants, there's ferns, berries. Because some I had anteaters.
Oh, ooh.
They don't eat meat.
No, they eat ant. I thought they eat ants.
Well, they weren't anteaters. They were some sort of plant eater. Touche.
I thought the key was in the name there. Fair enough. It probably can get like a little bit chaotic then in your living room when you have like so many different environments going on.
Well, I just had the one, so
okay, fair enough.
I didn't have to go all the way into my.
Did you end up getting a pet then? Did you have a?
I had a pet. I had a pet gorilla.
Pet gorilla. Did you name it, or could you name it?
No.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, I guess anybody could name it.
You could. That's why I would have thought if you had a pet, that'd be the first thing you did is to name it.
No, it's just Grillo. I did enjoy playing fetch a little bit.
Grillo is the name.
No, it was Grillo.
I thought you called it Grillo.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
There you have it, though. Living room.
Very good, very good. I got into a game that I've been saying I've been trying to get into this game for the last 2 podcasts, but we finally got into it. So that's Epyka. This is a game that's a puzzle-orientated game. It's like a bit of a cartoony graphics. There's not graphics to write home about or anything like that, but like you said with the living room, it kind of gets the job done. So it's a puzzle game. It's got like a overarching story in it, which is basically the main character is like a boy who has this like, shall we say, diamond in a way in his hand, and it lights up and such, and he's trying to find, judging on his like father's map, a treasure map, that there's an island somewhere, and no one believes him and all that stuff. Anyway, he finally gets to he realizes that when he's just in the water, if the diamond or crystal, rather say, the crystal is probably a better word. If the crystal is near to the island then appears, and the island of Epyka. So then when he gets to the island, it's basically trying to figure out how his dad got this crystal in the first place. So you're basically doing puzzles. It's 8 chapters in this game. I'm on chapter 5, and I think I'm right at the end of chapter 5, and I just got stuck at this little puzzle, which I'll talk about. But that's after just like a hour-ish time. So I don't think it's a long game, especially if you can get through the puzzles. You're with a dog. It's you and your dog. I actually don't know the main protagonist's name, but the dog's name is Jack. You can pet the dog as well if you wanted to. Sometimes it runs around. At the start, it's clever because if you're trying to find a piece, it like digs up a piece for you, and you take it from its mouth. And I thought that was going to be like something that you do quite often, but it only happens once at the start, to be honest. The cool thing about it... Oh, go on.
Someone in the store said it takes about 2 hours to complete.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's something about it where like it starts off very basic, and it's not like there's a bit of popping involved, and it's not like the smoothest game. It's definitely absolutely fine. It's absolutely playable or anything like that. You're not going to go in, there's so many bugs. It's just that, it feels like a very much like a game that's just just kind of maybe one person maybe created it or something like that. That's what it feels like, where it needs maybe a little bit more polish, but apart from that, it's pretty well made. And the puzzles get much harder. Like at the start, you got puzzles that are, let's say, on the door, for example. Oh, so there's a chest, and the chest has 9 symbols on it, and you can press each one of those symbols, but you need to look around the room to find those symbols. And when you see the ones that you need to push in, then you push those 3 rather than, the 9 that's on there. There's a aspect where you use like a mirror, and you can only see things through the mirror. So you have to put it over a few things to find out what the hidden symbols are. There's a really cool puzzle where there's a maze, like a miniature maze, and then you put your crystal in the middle of it, and then a portal appears, and then you can go into the portal, and then you're in the actual maze that was the miniature maze, and then you need to solve your way through the maze. That was cool, but it was all very, like, in a way, sounds cool, but kind of a bit basic. And I was a bit meh on it for the first like 20 minutes to half an hour. And so what I did is actually, I played this part in seated mode because of my arm. And I actually, in the maze level, I actually got really motion sick.
Wow.
While sitting down, and it was just like, I feel like the game's not really been like optimized for someone to be seated. Like, you could do it, but like, for example, the crystals on your like belt buckle, so every time you grab it, you need to kind of figure out how to get to it whilst just sitting down and such. So it's not very well optimized. So if there's one con about it, I would say it needs to have more accessibility options. But then I played some more today and standing up, and it was a much better experience.
Is it hand tracking or controllers?
I think it's just, I've only played in controllers. I don't think there's a hand tracking aspect of it. So I wanted to highlight 2 puzzles because it does get better and better. And like I said, the first 20 minutes or so, maybe 30 minutes, I felt a bit meh on it, but I pushed through, and then it gets really good, and the puzzles become really, I wouldn't say clever, but unique. So the 2 puzzles I want to kind of throw out there, and the first one might be quite difficult to explain, but essentially you get into this area where it kind of looks like a labyrinth when you come into it, but there's 11 portals all around. So like, there's 3 portals in front of you, there's 2 up in the sky on a different platform, there's 2 over there, there's 2 over there, etc. And you need to find out how to get across to the other side, basically. And when you go through a portal, it takes you to like somewhere else above the labyrinth, which is really cool the way that's made. It's really clever how they did that. But then when you get to another platform, there's a map, and you have to manipulate the map to basically change where the portal is going to take you. So, you'll see red portals, blue portals, gold portals, green portals. There's so many, because also the portals are double-sided. So if you go into it one way, it takes you somewhere, but if you go the other way, it takes you another way as well. That was a really cool puzzle. Yeah, it was a really good one to do. It wasn't difficult once, like, it took you a couple minutes and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. But it was a cool idea. So that was one. If you could understand that at all. The second one is actually the one that I'm just stuck on. But basically, you get into this room. And this is straight after, actually, and there's a miniature maze in front of you, and it's more like a rectangular maze with like doors all over the place, and basically you can like lift up the doors and such like that to try and go through. But obviously you need to do that, so your dog Jack actually goes into the maze, and when he goes into the life-size version of the maze, a little dog just appears on the miniature one, which is really nice. And then you just gotta lift all the doors up to try and get him through. Now that sounds kind of easy, because you can see the maze from above and you can lift the door up. But then there's portals all over the place. So, you want to make sure you go into the doors with the right portals that will take you to the entrance and such. And it's harder than you think, because so I've got the dog into the middle of the tower, and he's got the thing that we're trying to get, which is like the mirror. And now I'm trying to get him out, but when you've got to go onto a platform, you got to get the dog onto a platform. When he goes onto the platform, it opens up the door to leave the maze. but it's on a timer. So then you have to kind of maneuver him through different other portals to try and get him out. And I just can't right now figure out the path, because you can get him to the door, but by the time you get to the door would have closed, and you have to find like the quickest route to try and get him out. And that's where I feel like if I just spend another like 5 minutes or 10 minutes on it, I feel like I could do it. But right now, I did it a few times and I couldn't get it, and I was like, okay, that'll do for today. I'll
come back.
I'll come back to it. But So if we did this podcast yesterday, I would have probably said I'm not too keen on it. But now that I've played much more, I think it's a really good game. It's got clever puzzles. It gets better and better, and I'm actually really looking forward to completing it. So I would recommend it. I think it's only like $15 or something as well. I'm not sure. I got the code for free, just FYI.
It's $9.99.
Yeah, $10. So that for that price, if it's a 2-hour game roughly, it's well worth it. It's a fun time. So yeah, I would highly recommend Epyka if you're into puzzles. It's not too difficult. It's definitely nothing like some other puzzle games I've played. I'm pretty sure it's a more beginner friendly puzzle game, I would say. But it's charming, and it's a fun one for a couple hours. So that's Epyka. Epic.
Well, Dan, I got into a couple other games.
Yeah, what do you got going on?
Friday night happened, so I got into some Breachers.
Mm-hmm.
5-on-5 tactical shooter. I'm not going to go into it in great detail tonight, but good times.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, friend of the show, Noble Squashy, joined me.
Oh yeah, how is he in Breachers?
Squash holds his own.
Squash holds his own.
He holds his own. Yeah, he does.
Holds his own. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. It holds his own. Very good.
Yeah. And then I got into a little bit of Trombone Champ again. I'm the thing is, it's been a while since I played Trombone Champ, so to get back to where I was, I've got to it's like playing an instrument. I got to warm up again.
Yeah.
And that was frustrating, but
yeah, because you can't go straight into the harder levels.
Exactly.
It's like when you took that break of Synth Riders for ages, and it took you a little while to get back into the groove. But you get there.
Precisely.
Yeah, very good.
Then we got the games out this week. You want me to go right into it?
Well, yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's what we've been playing. Games out this week. We've got one game that's out this week. Samson, I think you should get into it because, I know you've done 2 readouts already, but let's be honest. Reese from Games with T, where we had last week, did praise you for the readouts. So you are the readout person.
Let's give the people what they want, Dan, or at least Reese.
What they want.
Let's give the person. Rogue Pinatas, VR Mageddon. A multiplayer VR roguelike game. Live Open Mike would say we might have enough of those, but I digress. A multiplayer VR roguelike game where vampire survivors meet Dead Rising. After a birthday party goes haywire, the world now faces an onslaught of endless swarms of angry pinatas. As a last line of defense, you are humanity's final hope in the VR Mageddon. The mission is simple. Survive the party apocalypse or succumb to sweet defeat. It sounds goofy, Dan.
Yeah.
What's its price?
Its price, it doesn't say actually. From the time of recording here, it just says add to wish list coming soon. There's also on the store, there's no video, which is, I know obviously some indie developers can't do videos, but they always seem to have a video in there, but there isn't. There's just screenshots in there. The screenshots don't look the greatest, but there is like a little GIF or GIF. However, it's definitely GIF. If you say GIF, it's wrong. There's a GIF in there for like 2 seconds. You can kind of see it, but yeah, that doesn't appeal to me, to be honest. It doesn't appeal to me. There is online multiplayer though, Samson, so you can team up with friends in intense co-op.
Like I said, depends on price.
Yeah,
$10. I guess I'd probably try it.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, I like the name Rogue Pinatas VR Mageddon. I like that idea. It's like VR Outlaws. It's like a German
we
version.
also haven't seen any gameplay footage, and I really don't understand how Vampire Survivors meet Dead Rising is huh?
Well, it's like a bullet hell, right? With like lots of enemies and then a bullet hell. So
okay.
That's what it means.
I
Dead
wonder if
Rising,
you
there's
can
always
move.
lots of zombies.
Can you move? That means you can like move around, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
So at least it's not a wave shooter of sorts. You can move.
Yeah, but isn't Vampire Survivors and Dead Rising a wave shooter? Basically.
Vampire Survivors does have waves.
They do, yeah. I haven't played it, but I know people love it.
It does have waves. You're correct. But it's just it's so unique and cool and fun that I don't consider. I guess maybe it's just a good one. You're right.
Yeah, it's just one of those. Very good, very good. Samson, is anything else before we wrap up the show? A shorter one compared to last week's episode for sure, but I guess they balance out.
Certainly shorter than last week, but we like to generally keep it about an hour in these parts, or at least you do. And Dan, I got into there's this demo on Steam called Passant, Passant, a chess roguelite. And it's got a free roguelite. It's got a free demo, yeah, because it's just like the chess version of Balatro.
Oh.
So you're not playing normal chess, right? Some of these pieces move funky. You can get like power-ups. You can play against various types of pieces. Some of your pieces can like sort of trap other pieces. I played once where if my pieces got captured or if I captured another piece, mine would blow up. And like, so they would blow up all the ones around it. But like, I basically I would be kamikaze. So I'd have to choose to not take pieces and to go move to spaces where I could not be taken.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's cool. I'm just seeing a little video on it now. Definitely check it out on Steam. Passant, a chess-like roguelike. Yeah. It even looks like Balatro in a way in terms of the
you're going through sort of challenge 1, challenge 2, and then a boss, and then etc. It slowly progresses. You're gaining money. You want to save your money to get different pieces, etc. I've played about 75 minutes. It's a good time. I'm not good, Dan. I'm not good. I've not beaten. I think I've beaten the first boss once, but not the second.
And it's free as well. The demo, of course.
Yes.
The game's not out yet and such, but that's cool. That's cool. So very different to chess, but it's basically chess. But do you say does it still move like the chessboard? Like it still follows those kind of same rules in terms of like move?
Well. But you can get power-ups, right? So some horses will move 3 by 1, and some will move normally.
Right.
Some will be like can move like a bishop and a rook or something like this. It's kind of like how Balatro does poker. Yes, you're playing poker, but it's you're eventually at the end. It looks nothing like poker.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, a lot of roguelites. There's a lot nowadays. I mean, the two games I've been playing on Steam Deck is Hollow Knight and Hades recently,
nice.
And they are both roguelites. And sometimes you get a bit like tired of them because it's the same kind of gameplay loop, but
starting over.
Yeah, but the Hades, I'm not gonna lie, is quite unique. It's a cool isometric one, but it has great voice acting too, with like the comments are hilarious and such, and I think Hades is a game that a lot of people already know, but it's basically you're in hell, shall we say, or in the underworld, shall we say, and you're just trying to escape it. And your father's just always mimicking it, like always like your father's always like taking the mick out of you. I don't know if that's a British only term, but basically making fun of you, because every time you die you go back to your home, basically. And
that explains the name of the TV show, The Mick.
The Mick. Taking the Mick is like just making fun out of you. Making fun of you. But yeah, the father's like, go on, try again, you'll just die. And he's just like, I think he's the main like god of the underworld, your father, and you're trying to escape him. But he's not even trying. He's like, just go, just try, and you'll die.
Dan, you're making me want to go back into it.
You should. And if no one's played it before, it's on sale on Steam, as it always probably is.
There's even Hades 2.
There is a Hades 2, but it's in early access at the moment. So obviously I want to finish this one first, but I don't really want to touch it.
I never beat it.
Yeah, I don't want to touch Hades 2 until it properly is out. But
I kept dying from the same boss. I just got stuck, and I just eventually got, much like every roguelite that
That's the
I
thing
don't
with
play in
roguelites,
VR.
right? It's
Yeah.
just the fact that, like, if you do get stuck and then you have to play the whole thing again until you get back up to that moment, and then you die and then you start it all again. But then it's also very satisfying. I get it. It's kind of like a Souls-like in a way where people are really into
Yeah,
like super
you
hard
gotta hate
games, right?
yourself.
Yeah, I get
No,
it.
I'm just kidding. I get it. I get the idea.
I also downloaded Bully as well on the Steam Deck.
Oh, nice. I've
never
heard that's
played-
very buggy, so be careful.
No, there's a mod that kind of sorts it out. Takes
Okay.
like 2 seconds to put it in, and it like no problem whatsoever. But yeah, I never played that as a kid. Never had
Me
that
neither.
game. But it just feels like a GTA San Andreas in a way, just in a school. Yeah, it's just wacky fun. It's wacky fun. But anyway, Samson, that'll do for our podcast episode 172. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember, you got the Discord. Remember, we've got Walkabout Thursdays starting up now. If you're on the Patreon, obviously that's later tonight. If you're on the free versions, you're only just hearing about this. If you're in the Discord, you would have known. But we'll be there next Thursday as well. I've been Dan.
And I've seen Sam.
Yeah, you've seen Sam.
I've seen Samson. See, you threw me off. I didn't even say my full name.
Fair enough.
Well, I've been Samson.
Yeah, and I've been Dan. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Still don't know what it means.